Hi Yogis! Welcome back to my channel. Last week we've learned two of the basic sequences, sun salutation A and B. This week we will take a closer look at some of the poses within those two sequences. Some of those might be challenging for new yogis, including downward facing dog, cobra, or warrior one. I hope this video can help you with your practice. Let's start with cobra, which is a slight back bend pose. Cobra starts when we are laying down on the floor. The first thing to check is to have the wrist directly under your armpits and then roll your shoulder back so we are engaging the correct back muscle. Now we are pressing the thighs to the ground, and with that force, we are slowly lifting up the back all the way from the sacrum area and along with the spine. And while we are lifting up the upper body, we are pressing down with a hand to give a very good support. However, if I remove my hands, my upper body is still lifted. Then we lower down. Let's try again. Inhale. Cobra. Now let's take a look at downward facing dog. We're typically starting a downward facing dog from plank position. The way we do it is we started to press our hand firmly into the ground to engage all the force from the hands to the shoulder. Then we engage the hip and press our hip all the way up to the sky. So the knees can still be bended at this time. The hip is this region. And then we straighten the knees and stretch the hamstrings and the calf muscles. This is a downward facing dog. And I feel the whole back of my body, my arms and my legs are all lengthened and stretching. However, this might not be accessible for someone who's just started. So I broke it down into 3 parts that you might be able to practice with your own pace to build up the flexibility and the muscle strength. So one day you will be able to do a downward facing dog. The first thing is the shoulder and arm strength. Let's making sure we are doing it correctly. The way I like to think about it is, in order to get the shoulder into the right position, I would say we lift our arms like this. So then we are here and the shoulder blades is turning inward. Then we want our hands to actually slowly turning. It could be forward, but slightly like a little outward for each of it. So both are turning towards the pinky finger. So let's try that. So arm up and turn the finger. This way you have a very strong force of pushing your body away. We can also experience this thing when we are practicing puppy pose. So when we are kneeling down, tuck our toes, and then have our upper leg vertical to the ground. Then we walk our hands at the front of the yoga mat and tent our fingers. Then we are pressing our forehead to the ground. If your forehead is able to touch the ground, that's good. But if it's still lifting up, maybe put a yoga block under your forehead so you can rest your head. So you should feel a stretch at your shoulder blades, and you also can feel pretty well which muscles are engaged. And we want a very similar feeling in downward facing dog. Remember, the arm is this, the hand is slightly pressing forward. And if you think you're unable to lift it all the way up. We can always try to have the knees bend and just focus on the upper body, okay? Let's give it a try. Stretching the shoulders and the strings. So the second part is to actually push the hip towards the sky. When we are doing a downward dog, we have a lot of gravity to pushing us down. If we don't have very strong shoulders and core muscles, it may feel really hard to push it up like that. One of the exercise I recommend yogis to do is do a squat and pressing the hip back to get yourself started. So the way I can think about it is have both of your hands forward, hands stack. Then let's do a squat. And then from here, feel like you're pressing your hip backwards. And that is precisely the same feeling we should feel when we are in a downward facing dog. And try it again, pressing back. And that's the second piece. And the third piece is to straighten the knees, to stretch the hamstring and the calf muscles. This is a part that is hard but also easy. It is not that complicated, but it is hard because we typically have relatively tight hamstring and calf muscles. So if you find this part of the practice hard, don't be discouraged. It takes time. One of the things sometimes the yoga instructor offer is to press the heels a little down with the other big toe. So let me demonstrate. So we are here, we're hip back and up. So use the left big toe to press the heel of the right heel down to the ground. I feel a very strong stretch in my calf muscles and it feels good. Now let me try it on the other heel. Now let's take a look at forward fold and half lift. Those two poses are the ones that look simple and easy, but you can also feel like you have no clue what you're doing. A forward fold is typically starting from upward salute. So let's start at upward salute. And then when we are doing the forward fold, we just fold down like this. The purpose of forward fold is to stretch the lower back, the sacrum area, which is here. However, a lot of times yogis found it hard to actually feel that. What I found helpful is as the back of your leg, grab the four fingers like this. This is something I learned in a workshop. So when we are already down here, grab the four fingers and put it behind your calves. Then bend your chest forward and try to straighten your legs while pressing the legs into your fingers. Now I feel a very engaged lower back and a stretch. For half lift, what we are trying to get is a flat back and to actually stretch the spine. Sometimes when I'm in this location, I don't really feel like I know when my back is flat. One thing I've found very helpful is to think about when we are doing the half lift, think about to lengthen your spine all the way from the sacrum, and it's like this energy flows along your spine and all the way towards the crown of your head, and it's going flat and straight. Let me demonstrate. So we are here, and when we are trying to lift halfway, engage all the way from the sacrum and going forward, and from the crown of the head, feel like the chest is pressing forward, half lift. Forward fold, then standing all the way back up.